Hello again, and welcome to the 365 Retirement Podcast with Sam Lang of Rubino and Lang Wealth Partners. My name is Randy Cook, and we are here each week to sit down here and talk through some of the questions that you might have when it comes to your retirement and taking that step forward and getting a little help along those lines. Sam, how are you doing today?
So that's my job, right? A little help? Is that me?
A little help. That's you.
How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing really well. And I know that there's a lot of issues that we go over on the podcast here and talk about what people are dealing with. And I think it's interesting that, you know, every now and then as I look at some of these things, there's a lot of people out there shaking their fingers and they're saying, you know, you didn't save enough, or you're not getting enough help, or you're not getting the right help, or something like that. But one of the things that I find interesting that you say is sometimes I got to shake my fingers at my clients and say, will you please go out there and spend your money? It's a problem.
It's a problem. I mean, it's a problem that shouldn't be a problem, but there's so many people that's literally scared or afraid to spend their savings, and they feel like they don't have permission to be spending their savings. There's been studies done after studies, and it's interesting that most recent study that we saw, only 52% of people feel like they can spend their money. They take it when they need it. And there's less than 20% of the people that feel good about having permission to spend their life savings. So I just find that hard to believe. But
do you think it's the financial media that's saying, you know, you need $1.8 million to retire, and if you don't have that, you're not going to have enough, or the biggest fear that people have is running out of money, and this is just in our brains right now? Or is it that the people that you deal with have been so good about saving that they have a hard time breaking out of that and going out and enjoying their money?
Well, probably less of that. That's in my opinion. Than we've all been taught, you know, look, only spend interest, don't spend the principal, or save it for the rainy day. So we always have that same mindset that we feel like we can't spend our savings. And, you know, I go back to my parents. My dad worked for the federal government. My mom was an elementary school principal. They retired. They did an okay job saving. They probably could have done better. But if my dad had a brokerage account of $500,000 and $50,000 in the bank, and you said to him, hey, John, how much money do you have set aside for your retirement? He would say, well, I got $50,000 because that's where he spends the money from in his bank account. And everything else is like, I shouldn't be touching that. So I think one of the things that I think is important for people is to really give themselves permission to spend.
Is it that we suddenly walk away from our employer paycheck, and then we get this Social Security check? We know that's there. And then there's this big pile of money that we've saved, and we just can't visualize the fact that some of that is coming in every month like our paycheck. It's a completely different dynamic in retirement.
It's a different mindset, different dynamic. So, I mean, think about it. If you've been getting paid, say, every 2 weeks, $5,000 every 2 weeks, your paycheck net is $10,000 a month, and you spend $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000, and you save a few grand, well, no issue, right? But if you retire, that 10 grand is gone now. Right. So let's say you replace it with a $4,000 Social Security payment. Well, if you're spending $8,000, you're still short $4,000 or $5,000. We're going to include inflation, the taxes, et cetera. Right. So if there's a way you can actually just systematically give yourself permission to spend from that brokerage account, call up your advisor and say, hey, you know what, send me some mailbox money every single month, $5,000 a month, and it's kind of like replacing that paycheck. That's when you're going to have a much more sort of enjoyable retirement, much more freedom. And that really comes back to making sure that you have a plan, or having no plan. If you have no plan, you have no permission. Having a plan, having an income strategy, having a growth strategy, having some way of systematically getting you that differential that you need, that delta that you need from what you need to what you're getting in, is really the important way to, you know, just to enjoy retirement. That's what we've been working so hard and saving so hard to do, is enjoy retirement. You got to give yourself permission to enjoy retirement.
Well, the name of our podcast is the 365 Retirement Podcast. The name of the plan that you guys put together at Rubino and Lang Wealth Partners is the 365 Retirement Plan. And I know that job number one is saying we need to replace that paycheck. If you're bringing in $6,000, $7,000 a month now and we need that in retirement, that's job one. How do we take that 401k and everything that you've done and build it into a paycheck? And I got to believe that when you have that meeting, and when somebody sees that they can retire on the same amount that they had while they were in their working years, that's just got to be a great moment.
It's a huge relief. And I think we're very fortunate to witness that huge relief, because a lot of times people come to us with just, a pile of money in a different accounts. They have an account there, they have an account there. They feel like they have enough money, but they really don't have a track to run on. They don't have a plan that shows them, hey, you know what? We've actually done some math here. We've done some analysis to say, if you spend X amount of dollars, even if we include inflation and taxes, you're going to have enough money for your lifetime and be able to maybe even leave a few bucks to your kids. And I think that's what most people want. They want to have a plan, a written retirement plan that shows them that, and build that added confidence in that they need to have to go into retirement. There's so many things that could happen. You want to maybe take a trip, include your grandchildren, and pay for everything from the airfare to the hotel. And you say, well, do I have enough money? Can I do it? Can I not do it? But if you have a team behind you that can actually visually show you, do the math and say, hey, look, you know what? You'll be okay. Or maybe it's the complete opposite. Hey, you want to treat everybody. That's great. That's all in good gesture, but you can't afford to spend an extra $50,000 this year. So maybe scale back down a little bit. But again, working with financial folks, people that are really in the retirement planning business is, I think, where the important sort of takeaway is.
The word budget is a dirty word, and nobody wants to be on a budget or even talk about it.
Right.
But I've gone through this process of sitting down and saying, what do I spend in a year? And it's kind of difficult, but actually it's kind of eye-opening, isn't it? Because when I start to think about what I pay for my insurance, my car insurance, and what that is per year, because that's not a monthly bill that I have. What do I pay for health insurance, over the year? What do I pay for all these different things? And breaking that down and finding out, oh, that's where the money goes.
Yeah.
And then figuring that out, okay, now I really know what the number is, and I don't have to worry about packing money in a 401k anymore. It just kind of opens things up, and you walk out of that meeting knowing a whole lot more about your finances than you did.
It brings a lot of clarity. It brings a lot of clarity. And I think you're right. The budget, it's not like, hey, you can't spend a nickel more than your budget, but it's just giving you an idea of what your outflow per month is. And we always try to have our potential clients and our clients think on monthly numbers instead of huge numbers. Let's break them down to monthly numbers. And this is what you need. So let's figure out a plan to give you that monthly number, whether it's a pension, whether it's rental income, whether it's 1 or 2 Social Security checks. And if that's not enough, let's build an income plan so you have that added additional income every month that you don't have to think about where the money's going to come from.
Yeah, I think that, I go to the grocery store and, whatever it is whatever it is. But when I get into retirement, I kind of want to have the same attitude. I don't want to be pinching pennies at the grocery store, for goodness sake. And then building in, knowing what you spend per month, and then building in all the fun that you want to have. And that's what it is to have an income plan.
Yeah. I mean, going through the exercise of doing that, coming up with a strategy, coming up with, hey, this is where your money should be. This is how it should be invested. That's what we do here as a team. And once you have that in place, I'll tell you right now, because we've seen it over and over again, that you have that added piece of confidence, knowing that you're going to be able to enjoy and go to the beach and dig your toes in the sand and have that, drink with a funny umbrella on it. So
little umbrella.
That's right. A little umbrella. That's what we want. The little umbrella.
The sign of a great retirement, that little umbrella. All right. Well, we want to give you the confidence to spend. And I think that's what everybody wants in retirement, because that big worry is we're going to run out of money. Let's just get that off the table and go through what we call the 365 retirement plan. We can set up a 15-minute introductory call. All of the information is on our website. We encourage you to go to 365retirement.com and start the process right there. You can find out more about what we're talking about here on the podcast by clicking on our show notes and certainly getting in contact with us and scheduling a meeting about what is not just for the first year of retirement, but will be your 10, 20, 30 years of retirement. And that's a big deal to try to get the spending figured out there, isn't it?
Just to echo that, I think a lot of times people go through this exercise and then they tuck everything away, right? Life isn't about in a capsule of 1 year. Life continues. So having a team that will help you monitor your progress, making sure that you're staying within the guardrails, being able to do the things that you want to do. And then sometimes maybe having a discussion, hey, you know what? I want to take this African safari and I'm going to pay for everybody and it's going to cost a lot of money. Can I pull it off? Can I do it or not? And to have that reassurance that you can or cannot, that's very helpful. That's very helpful to have in retirement.
There's only one way to know, and that's to run the numbers on your retirement, and that's what we do here at Rubino and Lang Wealth Partners. Give us a look, like and subscribe if you find this content helpful. We hope you'll join us again next time here on the 365 Retirement Podcast.